Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our men's advanced Bible study, the 20th of March, 2026. Okay, we'll be dealing with, our main topic will be discussing the current events and getting some feedback from the people that's on the line from our Hebrew brothers. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, we're here every Friday evening from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time for our Hebrew Israelite men's advanced Bible study. So if you want to engage, you come in through YouTube, or if you want to draw a little closer, you can call 337-802-0889, and then we can send you the link where you can come in. Okay, you have any questions or anything you want to reveal, or we can deal with it. We don't bite over here. Okay. This is a non-Messianic channel, and by that I mean we deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanak being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance. Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by Israel's Savior and Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts, okay, and Deliverer. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Okay, shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our men's advanced Bible study. Okay, we're gonna do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, a psalms, and I'm going to start from this day forward to introduce our men's health moment. Okay, so then we have some current events, need to know information. Then I open it up for anybody to have any questions, comments, any dialogue, or any testimony. We'll deal with it. And then our topic for the brothers that's on the line, our topic for discussion, I have a series of current events that's happened, and I'm gonna play them, and then we'll discuss them. Okay. Then at the end, we'll at the end of this class, we're gonna pick a scripture like we normally do, read that scripture, break it down, and then we'll close out. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and your wisdom, and we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers, and you, oh Lord, directed us to who you are and your role in the going on of heaven and earth. Okay. Oh Lord, you spoke through your prophet Isaiah, and you said that you would help Abraham's seed, that you, oh Lord, have scattered. You have completed that promise as of this day. And you said, oh Lord, that you would remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, oh Lord, for the latter days are here, and we are waiting and watching for you. Peace be unto you. Okay. You want to read our song right quick?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Shalom, everybody. Brother Leonard, I'll be reading Psalm 77, a psalm of Asaph, recalling the wonders of God. I cry unto God with my voice, even unto God with my voice, and he gave ear unto me. In the day of my trouble, I sought the Lord. My soul ran in the night and ceased not. My soul refused to be comforted. I remembered God and was troubled. I complained, and my spirit was overwhelmed. Selah, thou holdest mine eyes waking. I am so troubled that I cannot speak. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I commune with my heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Will the Lord cast off forever, and will he be favorable no more? Is his mercy clean, gone forever? Doeth his promise fail forevermore? Have God forgotten to be gracious? Hath he in anger shut up his tender mercies? Selah. And I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the Lord. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. I will meditate also of all thy work and talk of thy doings. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? Thou art the God that doest wonders, that hast declared thy strength among the people. Thou hast with mine arm, with thine arm, redeemed thy people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph. Selah. The waters saw thee, O God. The waters saw thee. They were afraid. The depths also were troubled. The clouds poured out water. The skies sent the small. I'm sorry. The verse 17. The clouds poured out water. The skies sent out a sound. Thine arrows also went abroad. The voice of thy thunder was in the heaven. The lightnings lightened the world. The earth trembled and shook. Thy way is in the sea, and thy path in the great waters, and thy footsteps are not known. Thou leddest thy people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. And Shalom. That was Psalm 77, a Psalm of Asaph. Shalom.
Okay, you got any feedback on that?
Yes, sir, Brother Leonard. In these last two verses, where it says, "Thy way is in the sea, thy path is in the great waters." And thy lettest thy people like a flock. That's remind me of Exodus 23 and 20. But in verse 20 does, but in 19, where it says thy way is in the sea and thy path is in the great waters. Um, like Genesis 1 and 2, uh
Right,
Spirit of God.
right. The angel of the Lord, that's what he in the very beginning, that when you understand what a spirit is, that's who was there in the beginning with the creator was this angel, spirit of God, which is they didn't when you understand what has happened to our records, these Gentiles got hold to our records and they didn't hoodwinked us and gave us a whole nother being that was there in the very beginning. They tell us it's JC, but when you read the scriptures properly, you'll see that the angel of the Lord was there. Spirit of God that's moving upon the waters. Yahweh in verse 1, and he's in verse 2. That's who was there in the beginning. It's also revealed to us in the book of Enoch that's been condemned, told us not to read it. Okay. You got anything else?
Right, yes, sir. And Brother Leonard in verse 13, where it says, thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. And like you were just saying, Yahweh is in heaven. The Most High is in heaven, the Creator God. But uh, Michael resides in Zion, in the temple that's in Jerusalem. So that's who Asaph talking about, right here in verse 13.
Right, right. He said when you understand what has happened, and like I said in the book of Enoch, he informs us that the Creator formed seven angels in the very beginning. The first one he formed was the Lord of Hosts, and then Michael. His name is He who is like Yahweh. So he's moving and operating uh, as if he's Yahweh, but it's not Yahweh. But his name tells you who he is. He who is like Yahweh, and his purpose for creating these seven angels, where he can't deal with. He's a consuming fire. Anything that's not right, he can't approach it. He'll consume it. So he had to create these seven angels to do his bidding for him on earth. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 10. The eyes of the Lord that run to and fro in the whole earth. When the Tower of Babel, the drummer at the Tower of Babel, these four of those seven angels came down to heaven, came down to the earth. Not Yahweh, it's these angels coming down at Sodom and Gomorrah. That's him that came to visit Abraham. Him and two other angels, Uriel and Gabriel, came with him to visit Abraham. And the scriptures tell you it's three angels came to visit Abraham. One of them is not Yahweh. One of them is the Lord of hosts, our deliverer, our savior, who showed up in the fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and who delivered Abraham out of the fiery furnace and Daniel out of the fiery furnace. Okay? Got anything else?
Right. Now, sir, that was Shalom.
Okay, so like I said, I'll be introducing men's health. So what I do is I'll go from different Israelite men or doctors that's familiar with medicine or whatever, and I'll play different videos different days on different Fridays. I'll play the night. I'm playing Dr. Atwal. I think he's an African doctor, but I'm see what he has to say.
A man came to me last year. No smoking, no family history of heart disease. He ate what he thought was healthy food every single day. But his arteries looked like those of a man 20 years older, inflamed, stiff, worn down in a way I usually see in people who spend decades making very different choices. We talked for a long time, and the pattern we found wasn't in his genes. It wasn't his stress levels. It wasn't his weight. It was in how he reheated his dinner every single night. I'm Dr. Kevin Adewale. I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon, and I've spent over 30 years operating on hearts. What I'm about to share, most doctors won't bring it up at your annual checkup. But after 60, it matters more than you think. There are 5 common foods that become genuinely dangerous when reheated. Not just hard on digestion, dangerous. They trigger a chain reaction inside your body that quietly damages your arteries and raises your risk of serious illness at the same time. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll never look at your leftovers the same way again. Your body after 60 is playing a different game. Here's what I want you to understand before we get into the 5 foods. When you were in your 30s or 40s, your body had a remarkable ability to neutralize damage. Free radicals, low-grade toxins, minor inflammation. Your cells handled it quietly and efficiently. You didn't feel it. You didn't need to think about it. After 60, that system slows down. Your liver processes toxins more slowly. Your immune response becomes less precise. Your arterial walls get thinner and less elastic. And your DNA repair mechanisms become less reliable. Does that mean you're fragile? Absolutely not. But the margin for error gets smaller. Things harmless at 40 are not harmless at 65. This is where inflammation comes in. Inflammation is not your enemy. In the short term, it's how your body heals. You cut your finger, inflammation cleans the wound. You catch a virus, inflammation fights it off. That's normal. That's healthy. The problem is chronic inflammation. Low-level, slow-burning, constant inflammation that never fully switches off. Chronic inflammation doesn't just attack one system. It damages your arteries and creates an environment where abnormal cell growth becomes more likely. I've seen both outcomes on the operating table, more often than I like to count. The 5 foods we'll discuss all share one thing in common. When reheated, they produce compounds your body struggles to neutralize after 60. And day after day, meal after meal, those compounds add up. Let's start with the one that's probably in your kitchen right now: fried food. French fries, fried chicken, anything cooked in vegetable oil, sunflower, corn, soybean. You probably know this isn't health food, but here's what you likely don't know. The danger isn't in eating it the first time. The danger is in reheating it. When you heat vegetable oils again the next day, they go through a chemical breakdown. The oil oxidizes, and in that process, it releases compounds called aldehydes, the same compounds found in cigarette smoke. I'm not being dramatic. That's the chemistry. So what do aldehydes do inside your body? First, they go after your arterial walls. They trigger oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages the cells lining your blood vessels. Over time, inflammation. The walls thicken, stiffen, and lose elasticity. For someone over 60, whose arteries are already less elastic, this is a serious problem. One of the fastest routes to high blood pressure, but that's only half the story. Aldehydes are also free radicals, and free radicals do something particularly alarming. They damage DNA. They attack the genetic material inside your cells. Most of the time, your body repairs that damage, but after 60, repair slows down. Some mutations slip through, and when enough mutations accumulate in the wrong place, that's how serious cellular illness begins. Do you have to stop eating fried food forever? No, but reheating it, especially in the microwave or with more oil, that's where the damage multiplies. If you have leftover fried food, oven or air fryer at moderate temperature, no added oil, or better yet, eat it cold. Now this next one shocks people every time, because leafy greens are supposed to be the healthiest food you can eat. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and they are healthy when prepared correctly. The problem starts after cooking. Raw spinach and kale contain nitrates, naturally occurring compounds, largely harmless in their original form. Your body processes them without much trouble. But here's what happens when you cook leafy greens and let them sit. Bacteria begin converting those nitrates into nitrites. That conversion happens at room temperature, and it accelerates when greens are stored improperly. So far, still manageable. The real problem comes when you reheat them. Heat causes nitrites to react with proteins in the food, producing nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are classified as probable human carcinogens by the World Health Organization, linked to stomach, esophageal, and colon cancers. But cancer risk isn't the only issue. Nitrosamines also trigger vascular inflammation, damaging the endothelium, the lining of your blood vessels. When the endothelium is inflamed, arteries lose their ability to regulate blood flow. Blood pressure becomes harder to control. Clot risk goes up. For someone over 60, cancer risk plus cardiovascular inflammation at the same time. When starchy foods are cooked at high temperatures, a chemical reaction occurs between sugars and an amino acid. The result is acrylamide. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies it as a probable human carcinogen, linked to kidney and other cancers. Here's the critical part. First time you cook a potato, acrylamide forms. When you reheat it, more forms on top of what's already there. You're compounding exposure with every reheating cycle. After 60, your body detoxifies acrylamide less efficiently. The same amount does more damage. That's the cancer side. Now let's talk about the heart side. Fresh cooked potatoes that have been cooled contain something called resistant starch. Resistant starch acts like dietary fiber, feeding healthy gut bacteria and slowing the release of glucose into your bloodstream. Blood sugar rises gradually. When you reheat that potato, the resistant starch converts back into regular starch. Regular starch digests rapidly. Your blood sugar spikes. Your pancreas has to produce a surge of insulin to compensate. For someone over 60 with any insulin resistance, this is genuinely damaging. Sharp, repeated blood sugar fluctuations cause oxidative stress in your vessel walls. The goal is to stop further oxidation of oil that's already in the food. Leafy greens. Cook only what you'll eat immediately. Leftovers go cold. Salads, grain bowls, refrigerated within 30 minutes of cooling. Rice, cool it fast. Refrigerate within 1 hour. Use within 24 hours. Reheat once and once only. Better yet, cook smaller portions. Chicken. Ditch the microwave. Oven with foil at moderate temperature. Or eat it cold. No cold zones. No bacterial risk. Potatoes. Embrace the cold potato. Cold potato salad dressed with olive oil and lemon is one of the smartest meals you can eat after 60. None of these changes require you to stop eating foods you enjoy. They just require you to think differently about timing and temperature, and these changes stack. Each swap reduces your inflammatory load a little. All 5 together reduces significantly over weeks and months. That reduction shows up in ways you can actually feel. Better energy, more stable blood pressure, improved digestion. Your kitchen habits after 60 are one of the most powerful tools you have for protecting your heart. That's what the evidence shows. I want to tell you something I don't say lightly. I've stood at an operating table with the person's chest open in front of me more times than I can count. And in those moments, when you're looking directly at someone's heart, working to repair damage that took decades to accumulate. You develop a very specific perspective on what matters. You stop being abstract about health. You stop talking about risk percentages because you're not looking at a statistic. You're looking at a 68-year-old grandfather whose arteries are so inflamed, barely functional, rigid, calcified, like garden hose left in the sun for 20 years. And the question that never leaves you, how much of this was preventable? The honest answer, based on everything I've seen and everything the research tells us, a significant portion of it, not all of it. Genetics matter. Age matters. There are factors outside anyone's control. I'm not here to assign blame, but chronic inflammation is largely preventable. And chronic inflammation is at the root of a staggering proportion of the cardiovascular disease and cellular illness I've seen. What shocks me most? Not the obvious cases. It's the patients who did almost everything right. Exercised, watched their weight, cooked at home, and still, their arteries show signs of chronic inflammatory damage. Same patterns every time when we dug into their daily habits. Reheated oils twice a day. Spinach microwaved every morning. Rice on the counter overnight. Chicken in the microwave 3 times a week without a second thought. None of these things feel dangerous. That's the entire problem. They feel like normal, sensible, even responsible behavior. But inside the body, after 60, these repeated chemical insults accumulate. The inflammation never fully resolves. The DNA repair system starts missing things. This is the conversation I wish I could have with every patient before they end up on my table.
Okay. You got anything out of that?
Shalom. Yes, sir. A lot of the stuff that he was saying, I agree with. Well, I mean, there wasn't nothing that I disagree with, but just I agree with the things he was saying because I know Kevin actually had a book, and I started looking into all that stuff. And Kevin did a lot of research about that stuff, the different oils that you're using, how we reheat our food, the microwave, and all that kind of stuff. So the same thing the doctor was saying, and some of that kind of stuff too. I also experience my health feel better after I stopped doing some of those things that the clip mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's when I started doing this, Kevin was kind of came to mind. So in the future, I'm gonna try to use some of his suggestions on what he came up with. So next week probably use him. But yeah. So with that being said, I got some need to know information right here, and it's crazy because I've been talking about this. I was just talking about it today. Right? Check this out. It's crazy. Hold on, let me see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Not bad. Okay, here we go. I'll play this first.
Is now telling every single American to be on high alert.
This is current events.
Because of one thing, rising gas prices. Now, remember back a few years ago when we saw gas prices going from nationally average about $4 to $5 a gallon. As soon as they topped $5 a gallon, that was the peak. It peaked out at $5.01. But the concern was, and this is what is coming back, is that people were siphoning gas tanks. People were stealing fuel. People were actually taking the big tanks from homes and they were stealing them. They were taking the tanks from like the propane tanks from barbecues as well. We're seeing that come back. And now law enforcement is telling the American people to remain on high alert. There's actually another thing coming back as well, which happened quite a bit in 2022. And I'm going to show you that at the end of this video. So make sure you stick around and watch the entire thing. But look at this right here. It says, thieves stealing gas. Police warn public to be on alert. Keep in mind the date, okay? This is not from 2026. This is March 14th, 2022. Police were telling their residents to be on high alert because People were stealing gas because they couldn't afford it. I want to show you what gas prices are today and why this matters. This was March 14th, 2022. This was all because Russia invaded Ukraine on, I believe, February 24th, 2022. Gas prices hit their highest level ever on June 14th, 2022. I'm going to show you something. This is where we're at today. $3.91. That's what we are today. Okay, that's here. Yesterday was $3.88. A week ago it was $3.63. A month ago it was $2.93. This is the key though. Regular unleaded, okay, one in diesel too. It was right about the same time. Regular unleaded on June 14th, 2022 was $5.01, and diesel on June 19th, 2022 was $5.81. Currently, it's $5.15. Now, why does all this matter? Well, look what happened just the other day. It says Burlington Business says thief stole 500 gallons of diesel from the fuel station. And this is just from a few days ago. It says Skagit Farmers Supply says a suspect spent more than an hour at its pump before leaving with more than $3,000 in diesel. Okay. Again, look at this. This is from March 18th, 2026. This is coming back. Look what's happening in Florida as well. It says magnets are being used to steal fuel across Florida, according to police. I'm going to read this to you. It says, magnets were used in order to manipulate fuel pump components, investigation officials have said. The defendants allegedly placed a magnet on a fuel pump, which overrode a component and allowed the fuel to flow freely and bypass the payment system. That's all from the past week, okay? But look at this. Again, this is not here in the United States, but this is also what we're seeing around the world. Look at this right here. Again, it's interesting.
Well, we're joined now by Director of External Affairs at the Countryside Alliance, Mo Metcalf-Fisher. Mo, good morning to you. Good morning. This was inevitable. We've seen this before when we've had periods of rising fuel prices.
Yeah, we had it at the start of Russia's war with Ukraine. We also had it during lockdown as well. It unfortunately is a great market for criminals. We've seen multiple reports in Suffolk. We had an arrest in Nottinghamshire this week as well. We're getting reports from the Highlands in Scotland, but also multiple reports in Northern Ireland, because obviously in Northern Ireland, some 60% of people there depend on heating oil, and this is liquid gold.
Liquid gold. Heating oil is going to be big, okay? So especially over in the UK. Here in the US, again, gas, diesel, that's going to be key. Propane is still another one. Again, we're starting to see prices increase there.
Tank? Looking for unsuspecting drivers and unlock car doors. It's called slider thieves, and it's really simple. You're on this side of the car, you're filling up, probably really not paying attention much as you pump gas, just watching those numbers climb. But while that's going on the other side of your car, well, thieves are quietly sneaking in, sliding in, grabbing whatever they can, and sliding out before you realize you've even been hit.
This was a huge problem back in 2022. Keep in mind, people were just so upset and frustrated that they're paying, $4 or $5 a gallon on average. And so a lot of people weren't filling up their tank. Okay, they weren't putting in the nozzle and just setting it and then kind of forgetting about it until it popped. They weren't doing that. What they were actually doing was holding the nozzle in, right, squeezing the little handle and putting in, $30, $40, $50. And so they were constantly watching the gauge, watching to see the numbers rack up, but they weren't watching what was happening behind them. That's starting to come back. Okay, so just wanted to warn you on that right now that gas prices are starting to increase even quicker. Well, be prepared, because we are going to start to see more and more thefts regarding gasoline.
Okay, got any feedback on that? What do you think?
Shalom. I can imagine that happening.
Unity is the way we find our strength.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I can imagine that happens during the hard times. You know,
Right,
people stealing gas and stuff. But we people pumping gas, especially ladies pumping gas. Make sure all the car doors locked while you pumping gas too
right,
at the same
exactly.
time. So
Right, exactly. Yeah, so like I was saying, I was just talking about this. I've been talking about it pretty much since I've been on this line, but I've been really talking about it lately. And I was talking today earlier about it. But check this out. This crazy.
From Jerusalem.
This is how close we are.
What you're seeing now are fragments of a missile that fell down inside the walls of Jerusalem. Here you can see a first-hand account which shows you the destruction done by this projectile. This is the first time we're seeing a missile falling down next to the most holy place on earth. It is very, very close. Here is a good shot showing you how close it was. We're talking meters from the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Setting it up,
Let
bro.
me show you on the map so that
just
you
talking
can
about this.
understand the distance of how close this was. This is the place of the impact, and here you can see the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Temple Mount, and the Dome of the Rock. This is like less than half a kilometer, 1,400 feet. And here you can see on a 3D model where this impact happened. So you can see the Temple Mount, and in a moment, here you go, you can see a projectile, and you will see where exactly it hit. So again, it hit right here. And as you saw, the damage was pretty substantial. But imagine if the Iron Dome would not shoot down a rocket that was actually targeting the old city of Jerusalem. The rocket was shot down by the defense system, but even after being shot down, those rockets are huge, and the fragments of such a rocket can still cause a lot of damage. Here you can see a rocket that has been already shot down. This is a rocket. They started throwing down the stones from the top of the Temple Mount, the Temple complex.
So they setting it up. What'd you think?
they setting it up.
They setting it up, bro. I'm gonna play this again tomorrow for Sabbath class. I'm put it on the I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, you gotta see this. This is like like I said, a video or pictures worth 1,000 words. But yeah, this you can see it's obvious. They gonna they setting you up. This Lil Bo Peep. Okay. So we're gonna see. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it ain't the next week or two. Okay. You're gonna get it, it's gonna be all over the news. Okay. And you really gonna see some shit then. Okay. So with that being said, I'll open it up for anybody with any questions, any comments, any dialogue, any testimonies. We're gonna do it right here.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Yes, sir. I have a Brother Leonard, I have a scripture question and a question about Liberia.
Okay.
Can the scripture is Ezekiel 31, and Ezekiel 31 15 through 18, sir. And so it said, my subtitle under those three verses says the nations shake at Egypt's fall. But I'm just asking for the breakdown of these verses because to 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 see what the truth is about it. But it says, thus saith the Lord God, in the day when he went down, thus saith the Lord God, in the day when he went down to the grave, I caused the mourning, I covered the deep for him, and I restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters were stayed, And I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. I made the nations, I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast them down to hell with them that descend into the pit, and all the
Used to
trees
be
of
over quickly.
Go
and
ahead.
all and all the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, all that drink water shall be comforted in the nether parts of the earth. They also went down into hell with him unto them that be slain with the sword, and they were his arm that dwelt under his shadow in the midst of the heathen. To whom art thou thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden onto the nether parts of the earth. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude, saith the Lord God. And Shalom, that was Ezekiel 31, 15 through 18.
Right. So when you look at that, I got videos about how there's giants all over Egypt. Egypt is called the land of the giants. They didn't uh, uh, cyborg that information when they got hotel scriptures. They throw all that off. But my example is when Joseph, when the Pharaoh one had the dream about the cows and the corn, and nobody could answer it, and then they went to got Joseph, right?
Right, yes, sir.
He said none of the sorcerers and the soothsayers, none of them could answer the question. So who you think those people are? That's the information. That's the people that's tied to the knowledge that those 200 angels brought down. So those are the children of them people, and we know they giants, right?
Right,
Okay, so and they couldn't answer. So that tells you right there that uh, that knowledge is being subverted from them, where they because of their DNA they can't understand what's going on. The Lord had to elevate Joseph in order to show him who it is that actually received that knowledge from heaven. Okay,
right, okay, right, yes, sir.
what else you got? I kind of. What the question was?
Right. Oh, with this one on my second.
No, this one right here.
Excuse me. So with this one, my question is in verse 16. Is he referring to because you always talk about his two trees in the garden,
Right,
and this kind of sound like Ezekiel 28 when he says I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall when I cast him down to hell.
right,
But at the end of this, it says this is verse 18. It says this is Pharaoh. But when he was talking about the trees of Eden, I didn't know if this was referring to Samuel or Lucifer, like
right,
Ezekiel
right, right.
did it.
Right. So when you in order to rightly divide, what is Eden? What is Eden?
Africa,
Africa.
Al-Qaeda,
So that's the whole country of Africa is Eden. So
right?
so think about the Canaanites when he says the oaks in Lebanon. He talking about the Canaanites, these giants that's in the land.
All right, okay,
Trees of Lebanon. So when he say when you understand that Africa is the Garden of Eden, them the trees that's in the garden.
come on, okay,
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
okay. Good.
Right. What's the other question?
It's the other one. The other question is about Liberia.
Right.
And like I was watching one of the old videos on the channel. It's called All About Liberia,
Right.
a few years ago. And on there is a lot of good information, but just about how it came about, because I had just watched it fresh again. But could you kind of break down, because I wasn't aware of a lot of that information. Even though I was in that class, I didn't, I just wasn't aware of a lot of that information. And we don't talk about it all the time. But with just how Liberia came about, what was the purpose of it, and who was behind it?
Right, right. So when you go back to the Underground Railroad and slavery and all that, and the abolitionists, that they was in the North, and that's how you had that's who created the Underground Railroad, was these abolitionists getting slaves from the South and freeing them to come to the North and to Canada, like to Nova Scotia and all those places. So once that happened, they started bringing a lot of people to the North, but also they also wondered, because they started coming to the North, and those people that made the pilgrimage from the South to the North. They got a lifestyle going on, but they still had people that would scoop them up and take them back to the South. So they wanted to get them out of America altogether. So these abolitionists was petitioning the government and dealing with the government and different politicians to get a certain amount of land in the continent of Africa, and send a lot of those people back on ships. Like I said, if you're not familiar with the book, the movie, the Book of Negroes, that's a perfect movie to watch. So they eventually got some land in Africa, and that's what they call Liberia. And being that our experience, the Africans, or the Hebrew so-called, they call them Africans, but we know what most of them was Israelites. The black folks that were brought here and experienced the transatlantic slave trade, their forefathers and the plantations, they are different people. The African Americans. They've experienced the American continent, and they've also experienced the African continent. So they ended up visually getting some land on the west coast, on Africa, on the coast of Africa, which is called Liberia, and they started bringing those people back there. So that's actually an African American country over in Africa. So today, Liberia is a part of the 54 countries or 55 countries in Africa. So they have a president. So that president is a black African American. So all this time, just for GP, we always had a black African American president. He's in Liberia. And then the undertones to all that was, we have prophecies on us. When you understand that we was taken from Africa, but we Israelites, we came from Israel. You know what I'm saying? They call us Africans, but we Israelites that was brought over here. So when you understand that, us taking us back to Africa was, we got prophecies on us, like the Deuteronomy 28, but we also have prophecies pertaining to our deliverance and us going back to our homeland, back to Israel. And so when you understand that, these people, we started waking up according to prophecy, according to the Lord of hosts. So when we started waking up, in order for them to they call themselves curbing what the Lord of hosts had prophesied, these Edomites, the Illuminati bankers, because they watching our every move. When we started waking up back in the 1900s and 1800s, so those people that started waking up, in order to separate us from the rest of them, because they didn't want that movement to catch fire, they started sending the ones that was awakened to Liberia. That's how all that came about. Okay.
Okay, yes, sir. So they didn't want like you said, for them to not spread fire. And then, Brother Leonard, another thing that I want to say, you said you had mentioned something about the ones from Britain went to Sierra Leone. Black people that was in England, is did the same thing happen? I thought I was
Yeah. Where they was sending them from America and from Great Britain.
right. Okay, right, from
So we
Great
was,
Britain.
we was waking up, and they was, in order to keep it, to try to quell the prophecy. They started trying to send the awakened ones off to another place. But like I said, it had been just like the abolitionist movement. Us waking up, no understanding we Israelites was spreading too, and they call themselves trying to quell it. But let me play this right here. And so many people have no idea about this. Okay, so here we go. Let me get it. So this Israelite movement ain't just started. You know what I'm saying?
We're here in Rio de Janeiro, and I guarantee, and the experience is
I know you thought Liberia is an African country. It was created for Africans and da 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 da. But what if I told you it
is you. Join us.
Hey family, I know you thought Liberia is an African country. It was created for Africans and da 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 da. But what if I told you it was created as a dumping ground for Black Americans, free Black Americans in America? Yes.
Yeah, what he said, dumping ground, because those are the ones that was waking up. And they say they took them over there, get them over there so they can get them away from the population over here in America. Like I said, you got to understand, even today, the money they're making off of us. Okay, being ignorant.
Had that right. It was created as a dumping site or dumping ground for Black Americans by the then American president, who did not want Americans, Black Americans, free Black Americans in his country. We're going to go deep into details, family. Welcome to the Africa Diaspora News Channel, family. My name is Lillian Akotunu making this report. I know we might have heard the statement, if you don't like it here, go back to Africa. Most of us might have brushed it off as ignorance or racism, what small-minded people use in arguments. But what if I told you that it wasn't just actually a slur? The United States government, in its highest form, at the highest levels, once had an organized, funded plan to send free Black Americans back to Africa. It's not just a big idea, family, or a conspiracy theory. It was actually a government-backed plan to send Americans, that's the Black Americans, back to Africa. And of course, I'm very sure these are stories they wouldn't teach in school because they do not want you to know about it. So let's dig in, family. We're talking about the 1800s when slavery was still legal in the United States. Hundreds of thousands of Black men, women, children were bought and sold like livestock. That was the world. There was a population of Black Americans in the North and South. People who were never enslaved or freed or even had to purchase their freedom. The thing is, at that time, their existence, their very existence was a threat to the powerful in the society. Because here's what free Black people actually represented. Proof that Black people were capable. And that
so they calling them free, but they understand who they are, where they came from, all that. Like I said, another good movie to watch is Amistad.
Threatens a system built on lies. When they see the truth walking about in broad daylight, they are actually scared of that. Now, in 1816, family, December of 1816, a group of powerful white men gathered in Washington, D.C. Politicians,
abolitionists,
slaveholders, clergymen, and they formed an organization with a very polished name. The name of this organization was the American Colonization Society. And their goal was to help free Black Americans return to Africa, to give them a better life, to offer them freedom.
Family, that was what they painted their goal to be. But their real goal was to remove Black Americans from America before they threatened their very existence. They were scared of the Black Americans. And as a force, they wanted to take them out immediately before they take over the system. And
see, they were scared of the ones that was waking up to prophecy.
Family, the men behind this weren't nobodies. We're talking about President James Monroe, Henry Clay, one of the most influential politicians in American history, Attorney General Richard Rush, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Marshall. They were the founders, the framers, the men whose faces ended up on buildings, currencies, and monuments. Family, they all had an agreement, right? One goal: free Black people, let them go.
Right.
Just like Pharaoh, let my people go. Where were they supposed to send them?
Same thing they're doing right now with the temple.
Back to Africa. Africa was the destination. Africa, a massive continent with 54 countries and thousands of ethnic groups. But the thing was, they needed a specific place. So in 1822, the American Colonization Society established a colony on the west coast of Africa, and they called it Liberia, from the
West Coast.
Latin word for liberty. Now that's so hypocritical. The capital, they named it Monrovia, after President James Monroe, the same President Monroe who signed the Missouri Compromise. Family, the same President Monroe who signed the Missouri Compromise, who talked about freedom but quietly support the removal of free Black Americans from America. A colony built to exile Black Americans named after a former American president. Now, between 1822 and the start of the Civil War, roughly 12,000 to 13,000 Black Americans were resettled in Liberia. Some actually went willingly, right? They saw no future for themselves in a country that despised them. Some were coerced, and some didn't fully understand what they were agreeing to. But here's what they found when they got there. The land was empty. Indigenous African peoples already lived there. The Vai, the Pele, the Grebo, and the arriving settlers, many of whom had never set foot on African soil, were placed in a position of colonial authority over people who were native to that land. Now, it was colonialism dressed up as liberation. One thing to note is that Liberia wasn't a gift family. It was created by American presidents, the then American body that wanted to free Black Americans from the Latin word liberty, named Liberia. They wanted Americans to have freedom. But was that really the case? No, it wasn't. They were solving their own problems at the expense of Africa. But one thing to understand is that this plan didn't go unchallenged. Our ancestors, the Black American ancestors, challenged them. In January of 1817, just 1 month after the ACS was founded, 3,000 free Black Philadelphians gathered at Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church. 3,000 people. They passed a
Bethel Methodist Church
resolution rejecting colonization entirely. Their argument was powerful and it was righteous. We did not come here by choice. We built this country. We bled for this country. We are not going anywhere. This is our home too. Family, we have some of them. Frederick Douglass, he called colonization a scheme to strengthen slavery by removing its most visible critics. David Walker, whose 1829 pamphlet appealed to the colored citizens of the world, shook the foundations of the slaveholding South, called on Black people to resist, to stay, to fight for full citizenship on American soil. Now, even some abolitionists who initially supported colonization eventually turned against it. We have William Lloyd Garrison, came to see it for what it was, not a solution to slavery, but a reinforcement.
William Lloyd Garrison. If I was you, I'd write that down. You probably get a whole bunch of more information.
Of it. Now, family, what they wanted to do was send free Black Americans to Liberia, empty, dry, without nothing. When they got to the land, they discovered this was empty. Some of them thought to take the offer. I mean, there should be something for us in that land than being here in America where we're not accepted. But when they got there, they got to discover that this land is empty. There were actually some Africans already in that land. So it was a plan to take them away from America.
Right.
They didn't want them in.
Because of what they knew.
America. Family, one thing to understand is history doesn't just live in the past, it lives in the present. It will control our future also. It controls the politics, the policies, everything we do, our culture, how we see things. If we do not understand our past, we do not know how the present or the future is going to go. So whenever you feel that this country doesn't see you, they do not recognize you, just know that there was a time where they wanted the free Black Americans out. Liberia was created by them.
Okay, what you think?
Shalom, yes sir, brother Leonard. Two of the biggest lies is JC, and that our land is over, that Michael's land is over here in America. And
Right.
yeah, yes sir. So this Liberia thing I see now after rewatching the class and and even listening to that clip, that's why a lot of people, they say
they from here.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
they
they see that,
right.
but they don't know the real history of it.
Right, and the same way, like I was saying, it's a cycle. It's a process how they do it. The same way they did with the Book of Enoch. See what I'm saying? They're doing this the same way they did. They're telling you don't read the book. They denigrate the Book of Enoch. It's like this. It's
Right.
like, indeed, and the Negroes, like I was saying, the educated Negroes that went to their schools, they gonna fall in line with this. What they tell them. See what I'm saying? And those are the ones that, like I said, the Divine Nine, they the ones that using them to direct us. Because they done bought into the bullshit. Like I said, hollering about this our land. No, hell no, this ain't our land. Now you see where it come from. Okay? So yeah. Got anything else on that?
It's always the what'd you call that, brother Leonard? The genius Esau.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, genius. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, they've taken what was the like we was talking about, those people in Canaan and in Africa. Those are they descendants from the fallen angels. They created characteristics. They received characteristics from their fathers, angelic beings. Yeah. So yeah, I'm online, bro. So yeah, so they created they got supernatural abilities. Like I was saying with the how the way that they did everything with the scriptures, how they hoodwinked that. It was all these you're dealing with supernatural beings, and children of supernatural beings. So they hoodwinked all this. Like I was saying, we know about Mansa Musa and how he came into power. Abu Bakr, his brother, brought 200 and some 2,000 and some ships over here. Them people came here, they was here. They got the villages. They got villages set that was designed the same way the villages was in Mali. They came here. So those 2,000 ships made it here. Them the people that's hollering about they from America. See what I'm saying? Saying that we from here, they black, they got, they got African, they got African features, but they saying they from here in America. No, they ain't from here. You came here. You came from the West Coast of Africa. And you came here. And then later on, after these people, Columbus came and all that, and all the things that happened, prophecy took place with the transatlantic slave trade, and you got caught up in it. Now you saying that you from here. And you ain't from here. And all this Esau using he using that and using it against us. You know what I'm saying? Hoodwinking scriptures and hoodwinking history and using it against us. And now it's like law. You got a group of people that actually believe that we from here. We ain't from here. Shit, it don't make no sense. Like I said, when you go and look at the plants, like you say, when you understand that the earth is the mother, the earth is the feminine part of what the Most High dealing with. They want to make our wisdom is a woman. No, the earth is the woman. And then what do the earth do? It brings forth wherever area you at, it's gonna bring forth the minerals and the nutrition that you need where you at. And so when you understand who we are, the earth over here don't bring forth what we need. It's over in Africa that bring forth what we need, the melanin that we need, the plants that provide the nutrition that we need as African Americans with melanin in us. It ain't over here. Okay. And so, and all that has got to do with is just about awakening and understanding and looking at things because we've been dumbed down and brainwashed. Like I said, or wine. I mean, not wine, but watermelon and all that. Those plants ain't from here. They brought those plants here, but those plants they from over there. And then they got this thing going on about us and watermelon. We love watermelon because our mother produced the watermelon for us. It do something to us. Okay.
Right, and they make it derogatory.
Yeah, it's derogatory, but it's who we are. It's a part of who we are. Like I said, all those things, a lot of that stuff was brought here. You know, like I said, when you go back and do your history on the Roman Empire, it was so much stuff being produced in Africa in order to feed the Romans. They had Africa was the bread basket. So what you mean? Mama, our mama that was in Africa was producing all that for them. They was getting everything they need, even to this day. They was getting what they need from our mother. We ain't from here. Even the so-called minerals they talk about, the iron ore and the lithium, you know, and the gold and the silver. It was getting it from in bondage from Africa. Because our mother produced it. That's what our mother produced for us. The Creator tells us that. He says in Havilah there's gold and onyx stones and this and that. All that stuff was what we needed. And we found out that to this very day, they've been extracted all over from Africa. It's not over here. And that's what our mother from the beginning produced for us. Produced it for Solomon, produced it for David. Okay. And now, like I said, now it's coming out. You got anything else on that?
Yeah, yes, sir. My last thing, Brother Leonard, and I'll just say that in looking at it in some of the information that I've learned about the Mali empires and all those other empires that that our forefathers made, it doesn't compare to the towns, because there it was over 100 towns that were like Tulsa, Oklahoma, that they erased history on and all of that. But those towns didn't have anything on, the Kingdom of Benin and the Great Wall of Africa and things like that. We did some stuff over here, but it still wasn't like those kingdoms. We ain't have no kings since we've been in America.
Right. But another thing about that's been hidden is when Abu Bakr and those 2,000 ships that he brought over here, they went to work. That's what they're not telling you. And even this right here is tied to what I talked about, the Louisiana Purchase. So when they came over here, they perceived the Mississippi like the Nile. And they went to work on the Mississippi like it was the Nile. And that they was building it up same way they did over there in Africa. They cut it out. So it ain't just started with Oklahoma and Wall Street. You know what I mean? That's what we do. That's who we are. We the people that's when the Most High in the beginning when he said he brought the land up out of the water and it was good. We tied to the land. I don't give a damn where it's at. It's tied to us. It go to work on it. And that's what has started happening, but they cut it off. Ain't that something?
Right, yes, sir. Great.
Yeah. So you good?
Right, we good. So
Yeah, I'm gonna play this right here right quick.
17 days into a war that was supposed to be over quickly, the United States has no clear path to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Gas prices have jumped nearly 80 cents a gallon, and Iran's new supreme leader, a man the Pentagon says is wounded and
I don't know if anybody knows about it, but what I've seen today is like what George Bush did over in Iraq. All of a sudden now, at Strait of Hormuz, it's shocking awe. They're throwing bombs and dropping bombs everywhere because they in a pickle.
in hiding, just sent back his response to the Marines. The strait stays closed. Let me show you exactly what is happening and why it matters more than you've been told. Welcome back to Professor Zhang Explains. I'm Professor Zhang, and today we're breaking down why sending 2,500 Marines into a closed waterway is not a strategy. It's an admission. What you've been told is that Operation Epic Fury is proceeding on schedule, that Iran's military has been effectively neutralized, and that relief is coming for Americans at the gas pump. Here is what the record actually shows. Oil was trading at roughly $70 a barrel the day before the strikes began on February 28th. Within days, it spiked to nearly $120 a barrel. As of this week, oil is hovering around $100 a barrel, and the average price of gasoline in the United States has climbed nearly 80 cents from just a month ago. In the first week alone, the average price of a gallon of gas in the United States increased 48 cents, and the administration knew the Strait of Hormuz was at risk before the first bomb fell. The U.S. Navy has been running exercises on exactly this scenario for 4 decades. One defense analyst told CBC News that Washington should have had the Marines started before the war, so they would be there now rather than waiting 2+ weeks. They weren't ready. That is not analysis. That is the documented record. Here's how we got here and why the Marine deployment tells a story the official briefings have been careful not to tell directly. On February 28, 2026, the United States launched Operation Epic Fury, an air and maritime campaign targeting Iranian command centers, IRGC headquarters, ballistic missile sites, naval vessels, anti-ship missile positions, air defense capabilities, and military airfields. It had multiple frameworks for thinking about what would happen if the strait closed. Defense analysts noted the Navy has been practicing for this exact scenario for 40 years. The preparation gap is not explainable by surprise. Here is what is not getting enough attention. Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the man killed in the opening strikes on February 28, issued his first public statement on March 12. He did not appear on camera. No audio was released. A state television anchor read the written statement aloud over a still photograph, meaning that 2 weeks into the war, no verified proof of life had been shown to the Iranian public or the world. The administration seized on this. Hegseth called him wounded and likely disfigured and questioned his legitimacy. But here is what that framing obscures. The statement attributed to Khamenei declared that the Strait of Hormuz should remain closed as a tool of pressure, called on neighboring countries to close U.S. military bases, and promised that Iran's revenge for those killed is a file that will remain open. Iran analyst Arash Azizi told CNN the message contained no indication of reform and gives very little hope to Iranians for a better future, and that it included hackneyed threats to destroy Israel and force the U.S. out of the region. Whether Mojtaba Khamenei is wounded, absent, or operating through the IRGC as a governing institution, the strategic posture has not changed. The resistance is institutional, not personal. You can kill a leader. You cannot airstrike a doctrine. Andreas Krieg, a Middle East security expert at King's College London, told Al Jazeera that Trump's appeal for a coalition to reopen the strait appeared to mask the absence of a broader plan. It doesn't seem like they had a plan for the Strait of Hormuz to be closed, and it seems like a desperate move to calm markets and hope that something magical will happen to open the straits short of actually engaging with the Iranian regime.
Okay, what you think?
What, brother? What are we looking at in this video?
Say it again.
I said, what are we looking at in this video?
Oh, they misdiagnosed it when they attacked Iran. They misdiagnosed it, the what's going to happen what was going to happen with the Strait of Hormuz and the effect of it. And now that they didn't close it down, and then he really put them in a pickle when he told them ain't no ships coming through here unless they do their transaction in yuan. Then they realized they had been set up. Because that's what BRICS was doing all along. They were attacking the petrodollar. Now they see they've been set up. Now Iran, what they wanted all along was to get them to bring Marines, troops over there on the ground. Now they have to bring them over there because they trying to, every day that passes, they losing billions of dollars from the strait being closed. So they've been set up. He had no other choice. They can't. No aerial attacks is not going to stop. Not going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. They got to Strait of Hormuz. They got to bring boots on the ground in order to try to open up the Strait of Hormuz. And so what they doing, when you understand military tactics, now they doing a shock and awe over there, trying to blow everything up before the Marines get there. But like the guy said the other day, they've been planning for this for 20-some years. It's hammer time. Okay.
And Shalom, yes, sir, brother Leonard. Where does Israel come into play in defense of in this war?
That's my point. When you understand prophecy, they got something hiding back in the background that they're going to use in order to level the playing field. Because, like I said, people don't really understand that Israel is the author. They the father of AI. They the father. They the what they call what they call it arms dealers. They're the number one arms dealer. All the new weapons and all the new technology when it comes to weaponry and all that. Israel is front and center on all that. So they got something in the background. They got something that they got in the background that they're gonna come out with. That's what I believe. Like I said, those are the two things I'm waiting on. When you understand how prophecy actually supposed to go, that and what they're gonna do with their temple, with the Al-Aqsa Mass. It's gotta be. I wouldn't be surprised before the end of this month. They're you're gonna just like I just did. You're gonna come on YouTube and they're gonna be the bound of Al-Aqsa Mosque. And when that happens, it's over with because they're gonna build that temple, and the whole game gonna change. That's what's gonna force the Most High hand, the Lord of Hosts hand, because he got to come.
And yes, sir. And brother Leonard, what's the point again? For that mosque being taken down, the importance of it having to be taken down, and what's the importance of that mosque anyway?
It is where Solomon Temple was actually at. And so the Muslim, when you go back to and understand the history behind the Crusades, the Muslims saying just like that's what Abraham sacrificed Isaac at. That's what he did what he did with Isaac. It's the same place at Mount Moriah, and the Muslims say that's the same place where Muhammad ascended up in heaven on the horse, on the white horse. So during the time of the Crusades, all that was going on with the Christians and the Muslims with the Crusades, the Muslims got control of it and they built that Al-Aqsa Mosque there. And now that these Edomites want to build a temple, they have to remove that Al-Aqsa from there. It's the same place. But like I said before, when you understand Christianity, Roman Catholic, all that is a forest. Islam is a forest. We the real people. So that's what that's all about. Islam and the Zionists and Roman Catholic, all the Most High, they've been deceived, and the Most High is he's using that to bring, like he said, he's gonna put hooks in them, because neither one of them factions, the Roman Catholic Church, the Muslims, or the Zionists, the whore, they have nothing to do with what's getting ready to happen. The Lord of hosts is he got to bring his people back. Whether it's that place or wherever Israel is at. It's a forest. All of it is they blowing hot air, and it's all coming to a head. Okay.
Right. Sure.
Right. So with that being said, I'm at my point now where I'm doing my topic for discussions, and what I mean today on this Men's Advanced Bible Study is my topic for discussion, or discussions that I've through looking through current events I brought up, and I'm gonna play the video, and then get some feedback from people that's listening in, and people that's on YouTube. They might want to have a comment on it, but I want to use these current events to shine a light on the truth of the end time, because we've been brainwashed on what the end times are by the Gentiles, and by the Edomite, and by the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, so my first video is one of my topics for discussion is, let's listen to it, then we'll chop it up. Okay. Here we go.
Fast right now. And I think we all feel it, and nobody's talking about it. And it's scary. I'll notice it's Monday.
Let's go back.
Really fast right now. And I think we all feel it, and nobody's talking about it. And it's scary. I'll notice it's Monday, and then it seems like before I turn around, it's Monday again. It's like I went through a wormhole or something. And stay with me here, because what's causing this, it's not what you think. This isn't just about the distraction of our phones and our age. There's something deeper going on. And to be honest, there's something a lot more terrifying going on. And this time thing, it used to not be like that for me. I remember in my 20s working 10-hour days, and I'd still find enough time to go to the gym before work and after work. And now I barely find time to go to the gym at all. And I know that I was young back then, but every day felt like it was the length of about 3 of the days that I'm having right now. And it's gotten significantly worse over about the last 6 years. And we all know what happened around that time. And that made me start thinking, what has happened over the last decade that's caused this time shift? And I know about all of the conventional explanations, and I do not disagree with those explanations. Getting older is scientifically proven to make you feel like time's going by faster. That's 100% true. And I am middle-aged now. So, and I've also heard people mention distraction with our phones and with social media. And oh yeah, that is definitely a big cause of this. But there's something more sinister going on here. Something that the phone is feeding on. You know, when you experience a huge amount of fear, how time slows down? I got rear-ended on my motorcycle a while back, and I remember after the impact, I remember very slowly rising up off the seat, flying through the air, and no joke, it was like 10 or 15 yards, and it was all in complete slow motion. And I felt like I was up there forever. Then I landed in the ditch, kind of rolled a couple times, and it was horrible. But I got lucky because I just got some scratches and I ended up with a sprained wrist. But that wreck felt so slow because extreme fear makes time slow down. It's not because nothing matters, but it's because I finally admitted something to myself that I don't know what's true anymore. Nobody does. There's too much garbage out there. And spending every waking second trying to figure it out, that isn't staying up to date and it isn't being aware. It's anxiety. That's what it is. So
what's your take on that? What are you talking about?
Shalom. I need to hear. I need to hear a little more, brother.
A little more? Okay.
Yes.
Here's what I decided. If I see a real way to help, then I'll help. And if there's something that I can actually do, I'm going to do it. But I'm done just absorbing chaos that I can't control. So now I go outside. I take walks. I take care of myself. And I pulled way back from that.
So he said something wrong. Things ain't working like it normally be. Something ain't right with him. Something ain't right with it. His environment and time is moving so fast. Something ain't right. He can't put a finger on.
Right. Yes, sir. So, I'm sorry, Shalom.
It's a white man. So they all feel like this.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And brother Lynn, so you was talking about the blood moon the other day, a while ago, and remember how that night that it was supposed to be, I was telling you how out here the sky, like you couldn't see the sky that night, like at all. And it kind of seemed intentional. But I have been seeing Gentiles talk about that it feels different. And even myself, like it's already the Sabbath again, you know, in the morning, and I feel like it's only been like 3 days since last week. Like for me personally, like
right.
like I felt every day, as I was in it, but as I'm like looking back memory wise, it only feel like it's been 3 days since last Friday. So I kind of agree with him.
So what is it that you think is the reason that's happening?
Oh, because the remnant about to be delivered.
Ain't that what the Lord hosts said?
Right.
Yeah, he don't know that. He don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So like I was saying, when you understand what the deal is, it's like a mountain lion or a panther when you out in the woods, and he's stalking you, especially a black panther. He's stalking you. You feel some eyes. You feel something is on you, watching you, but you don't know what it is, right?
Right.
Didn't the Most High say that in 2nd Ezra, the lion came up out of the forest? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then when the lion showed himself, he spoke to the dragon, he spoke to the 4 beasts, and told him his time was up.
Right.
That's what's going on. They know something going on, but they don't have they're not privy. They don't have the DNA to understand what it is.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? That's what that is. Okay. That's something.
You're gonna be shocking now to figure out the truth.
Exactly.
To that.
Exactly. So check this out. I'm tripping. Okay.
Obviously, these are the countries who have given their soil.
Doing business with countries you're sending drones into and hitting civilian targets.
Well, obviously, these are the countries who have given their soil to American forces to attack us. So what can we do? We just sit and watch that American forces are attacking us from their soil. And
your drones are going into civilian areas and hitting plants and hotels and civilians.
No. So, like, first of all, you got this woman trying to talk to this guy is the military representative for Iran. They got him talking to a woman, a white woman, and she ain't respecting him. Now check this out.
This is not the fact. We are only targeting American assets, American installations.
She can't comprehend what he's saying.
Military bases, everything belongs to Americans. And this is a fact that they are using their soil. There are many examples. Just yesterday, they, attacked our islands using HIMARS artillery rockets, which are low-range, rockets, and they used the territory of UAE to attack us. A week ago, 3 F-15 jet fighters were shot down, apparently by a friendly fire in Kuwait, but nobody asked what they were doing in Kuwait. They were using Kuwait and airspace of a neighborly, friendly country to attack us. So it is obvious we cannot just remain.
But so many of these countries are part of CENTCOM, but this is the point, is that it's going to hurt your country in the long term. But when we
see, she don't know what the hell she's talking about. It's over her pay grade.
talk about the Strait of Hormuz, which is such an important transit point for global trade. You've said it is closed to Israel and it's closed to the United States. The Financial Times is reporting that European diplomats from France and Italy are talking to your government about trying to get safe passage for their ships. Are you open to restarting oil and gas vessels going through there?
Well, they are open to countries who want to talk to us about the safe passage of their vessels.
You are negotiating with France and Italy?
See, that's what I'm saying. This is what the problem is here. So just as easily as this right here, this dude right here, this could be Enoch. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah 66, he says he's going to bring back the woman she's going to travail, and a nation going to be born at once. So she could be talking to Enoch. See what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Yes, sir.
But look how she handling it.
Right, right.
This is stage they done set. Come on. Look how she cutting the man off. Now he the defense minister, and she a piece of shit.
I cannot mention any country in particular, but we have been approached by a number of countries who wants to have a safe passage for their vessels, and this is up to our military to decide. And they have already
he tells us in Malachi, Elijah's gonna come back. You can't talk to Elijah like this. Come on.
To let a group of vessels belongs to different countries to pass in a safe and secure. So we provide them security to pass because we have not closed this strait. They are not coming themselves because of the insecurity which is there because of the aggression by the U.S.
I want to ask you again about the negotiations. Iran has declared it has 440 kilos or so of nuclear material. Where is that material now? Who has custody of it?
Well, we have not declared.
Why are you talking to her, man? But see, this is the problem. This is what's gonna get them messed up right here. This is the problem. But yeah, check it out. So with that being said, you got any feedback on that?
And Brother Leonard, when you saying this the problem is whose problem?
This their problem. They're not lined up with the Most High order. He says that our seed is a male. And then he says we know that now Israel got the son is Israel, right?
Right.
So if the son of Israel, if the nation of Israel is the son, it's the men of Israel is his son.
Right.
Okay. And he's dealing with the woman because she's in his son's house.
Right.
Come on. And this is what they've done, man. This is what they've done to us. Okay. Let me get this here. So yeah. So anyway. Okay, yeah, I got a couple more videos over here. Yeah, I'm gonna play this. These golden nuggets. Okay, I don't know if anybody know about this. Let me play it.
You know, the world is not a fair place, right?
Right.
You should start to be nice.
So in case the people,
friends,
in case you don't know,
your neighbors, your countrymen, your African people, you need to be nice to them because you're part of the same group. Because if you don't, you're going to live the consequences. You understand that? You know you.
So in case you don't know,
else, right? Wherever you
the
are,
European Union didn't attack Niger. Did you know that?
Right. Not finished.
I did not.
The European Union didn't attack Niger.
I'm going to be very, very quick.
One of those Sahel countries.
Parliament right here, where all the people.
Did you know that?
Everybody else.
No, sir, I didn't.
By killing and unaliving and taking their land, they sat together to discuss what? A matter in another continent. Which continent? This one, Africa. Precisely this country you see on the map. It's called Niger. What are they talking about? They were talking about
saying Niger, but it's Niger.
Which they have passed. What's the resolution about? They were condemning the arbitrary detention and demanding unconditional release of Mohamed Bazoum, this man here, and his wife. Now, what is the context? Mohamed Bazoum is the ex-president of the country, Niger. You see the map? That's Niger. He was a very good friend of the French and the Europeans. He allowed them to access the goods and the beauty of Niger. Niger, one of the biggest producers of this year. It's called the yellow cake, uranium. That's the reason why America is fighting with uranium. You know that, eh? Yes, Niger has tons of uranium. Uranium, you can use it for many things. The atomic bomb and many other things. Mohamed Bazoum was a great friend of the French and the Europeans. He allowed them to access uranium. The French bought so much uranium from Mohamed Bazoum that they created electricity. So much electricity, they started selling the electricity to other European countries. Now, the Europeans that you see right here have sat together and discussing what? They need to pass a law condemning the arbitrary detention of Mohamed Bazoum. Mohamed Bazoum was overthrown by this man here, Tiani. Okay, he was overthrown. Tiani is the president right now. He's a solution. First, let's listen to this. Listen to this.
Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le President, Commissioner, dear colleagues, tomorrow we'll be voting on an urgency resolution, which I set great heart by. We call for the release of the President of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum. It's the fourth time. Now, since 26th of July 2023, when the coup took place, the military have basically cut him off from the outside world. He doesn't have access to a phone, and there's been 950 days of unjustified detention. Now he's democratically elected, and he contributed there to jihadist terrorism, arms trafficking, human trafficking, and contributed to regional stability. We can't stand by in silence.
Are you listening to this? You hear this?
Right.
Okay.
When a European key ally is imprisoned, we need to show solidarity, and his release is urgent for two main reasons. First of all, on the 2nd of April 2026, his mandate will come to an end. If he's not released before then that has to be seen as a major failure, and a clear message needs to be sent to our partners and their opponents. We are allies, we take our commitment seriously, and we want more freedom and more stability. The detention of a democratically elected person is unacceptable. He's imprisoned by a military junta, which is still in power today. We call on the immediate release of President Bazoum and his wife, the restoration of the constitutional order, and the organization of democratic elections. There is insecurity and a spiral of violence, and the territory now is open to jihadist attacks on religious minorities. We can't stand by and see this happen, and we have an urgency resolution on this.
More than 2 years after the coup, Niger's democratically elected president Mohamed Bazoum remains under house arrest without charge, without trial. This is unacceptable. I call for his immediate and unconditional release, not only for him.
See what I mean? They go another broad, man. What she got to do with shit? What she got to do with anything? She calling for his release. You see that?
Right.
Come on.
But for all those arbitrarily detained.
White woman.
So we need to talk about this. Why? Because this is very interesting. I mean, it's nice to hear them saying, you know what, we need Mohamed Bazoum to be released from detention because the man is still detained in his house up until now. In 2023, he was arrested. He was kicked out of power. He's still in prison. Not in prison, but he's in his house with his wife. Now, it's very interesting to hear Europeans saying we need to get him out. It's unacceptable. But in the meantime, a couple of days ago, Venezuela was taken by special force where the president was taken to another country. But no European nation has asked for the president to be released. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Let me repeat myself because you didn't hear that. Venezuela was attacked a couple of days ago. Okay, they took the president. He was kidnapped, blinded, and taken all the way to the United States of America, where he was thrown in jail. And no European made a noise about it or talking about it. Why is it so interesting when it comes to Africans? Then they have these voices. They have to tell you what to do. They have to remind you about democracy and rule of law. But when it's about them doing things to other people, nobody cares. Why is it weird that when Russia goes to Ukraine, everybody's up in arm and angry and stuff? But the other people can go to Iran and bomb and nobody says a word. Are you still believing that we live in a fair world? That is crazy. Now, let's look into this.
Brainwashed.
Tiani overthrew Bazoum very simply. Okay, Tiani was a commander in charge of Bazoum's presidential guard. That's why they say you must be very careful who you put around you, right? He was his bodyguard. He overthrew him. Why? Because, number one, security had gotten worse in the country. A lot of jihadists and all these extremists killing people. Number two, the economy was failing and the people were suffering. Number three, so much foreign interference. French people were controlling the economy of the country. So the guard said to the president, Mr. President, I'm not going to kill you, but you're not going to be president anymore.
Exactly.
Some people say the reason why he overthrew Bazoum is because he knew that Bazoum was going to take him out of his position because Bazoum was just about to change, stuff and all that.
Okay.
About next time.
Websites your competitors don't want you to know. Part two. All you do is go to this website, and it lets you.
Okay. Give me a minute. Here you go.
In the parliament to say we cannot accept this, this is unacceptable. Why? It's very simple. Why would they do this? Well, remember what's happening in Iran. That's where the oil comes from. Okay, it is blocked right now. Now they're looking into Niger because what's the alternative right now? Because Donald Trump has messed up things. You need to find out which weak country somewhere in the world we can go and create and bring democracy to. That's exactly the same modus operandi for thousands of years now, if not hundreds. Well, Niger's got uranium, the very uranium Americans and them need from Iran. Niger got plenty of them.
So, like I said, for the Negroes out there, then they got their nose stuck off in the New Testament. The European Union, these Anglo-Saxons, they done attacked not just one country. The European Union done attacked Nigeria. It's only for a certain people, certain mindset. Everybody else on tits like tits on a ball. But these white folks gonna attack Nigeria. Okay. You got anything on that?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Now, what I do remember is all of the these different presidents from these different nations in the EU saying that they were going to. So just like, this administration over here been saying the things that they've been gonna do and they're doing them. Same thing going down over there.
Exactly. So why you think all the bombs and all that's flying now? Because they didn't cut them off from all this time. They had us in a pickle, thinking that they had it going on, but we got it going on. They've been getting everything. Got us brainwashed and getting all our minerals, and the minerals are supplying them. Now that they cut the minerals off, they in a pickle. So they have no other choice when you go back to what the Lord said about Cain's descendants. They was gonna go from one place to the next, bringing drama and havoc. And the earth was not gonna be yield nothing to them. Now all these things are coming out to the forefront. Okay? And so it's violence. Okay? Long as you sit there in the dark and go along with what they're doing, it's cool. But as soon as your eyes get open, the Lord of hosts open your eyes, and then the bombs coming. Okay? We go to the last one right here. Then we'll pick a script.
Yesterday, and of course, I'm talking about Benjamin Netanyahu, where he casually drops that, oh yeah, there's going to have to be a ground component, that we're going to have to send U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. Yet again, here we are. He also reveals that
not the Mossad or the ADF, whatever you want to call them, but American troops, not Israelis on the ground, American troops.
that the whole purpose of this for him is to get an oil pipeway straight into Israel. It's not even about any of the shit that they tell us it's about.
Exactly.
But this guy is so bizarre, and he's so into this cult. And let's not kid ourselves, the way the people that support this fascist right-wing Israeli government, they behave as a cult. If you criticize them, they freak out. You can't criticize us. You can't criticize our government. Yet, but we're a democracy. It's just complete hypocrisy. But this statement right here was wild. Put up the post first, Kylie.
Check this out.
Owen Schroyer says, in this short clip, Netanyahu says he insults Christians and Jesus Christ. He asserts there's no purpose in being a good person, says we have no choice but to fight Israel's wars, and then suddenly threatens us if we don't. Play the clip.
Well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation.
Are you listening to that?
So you have no choice. If you look at the world as it is today, you have to be blind not to see that the democracies led by the United States have to reassert their will to defend themselves and to oppose their enemies in time while there's still time.
So he's talking down to these Americans, bro. Check it out.
Before the jarring gong of danger wakes them up, and wakes them up too late.
Okay, first and foremost, the popularity of Israel, I think among Democratic voters, is like below 20%. This war is wildly unpopular, but more than anything, this type of fear-mongering propaganda, especially from a foreign leader, as though he's lecturing the American people about good versus evil, criticizing, it's a majority Christian state, criticizing the Lord and personal Savior of all of these Christian Zionists. This is just weird shit on top of weird shit. But more than anything, I think it's important to keep stating the number one killer of children.
So like I was telling you earlier, see, it's weird. Like the guy was just saying, time is moving fast, something ain't right. Yeah, it's the line that showed up out the jungle.
Right.
Come on. Yeah.
In the world right now is this man's regime.
Well, and also I think that for me, it shows Benjamin Netanyahu is calling the shots on what Donald Trump does. You know, you've heard over and over how he brought him into the war, all the different reasons, whatever. But then he bombs this site. 17% of the oil in the world is that. Iran bombs it. Now we don't have it. Retaliation by Israel. Donald Trump says, Israel's not going to do this again. And my first thought was, you're not in charge, buddy. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Let me read that right quick. This is second Ezra. I'm in chapter 11. It says, you know, this was given to Ezra, was the Lord of hosts, right? Our deliverer and our savior and our redeemer, not JC. He gave a dream to Daniel about the fourth beast. Then he came back and he gave a dream to Ezra, but he went more in depth with it in second Ezra in the Apocrypha. And it says, and I looked and I heard a voice saying unto me, look before and think about what you see. And I looked and behold, what seems like a lion rose up out of the forest, roaring. And I heard how he uttered a man's voice to the eagle. That's the fourth beast. And he spoke, saying, listen, I speak unto you. The Most High says to you, are ye not all that is left of the four animals that are made to reign in my world, so that through them the end, right? That's where we at. That's why they feel in a certain type of way. The end of my times may come, and you are the fourth to come, and you have conquered all the animals that are past, and you have held the world in subjection. You have held the world in subjection in great terror, and the whole earth with harsh oppression, and you have lived so long in the world with deceit, and you have not judged the earth with truth. You have persecuted the meek and hurt the peaceable. You have hated those who tell the truth and love lies, and you have destroyed the dwelling of the fruitful and torn down the walls of those who did you no harm, and your insolence has reached to the Most High, and your pride, see that? Like I was just talking about, the mighty one. So let's look at it again. Your insolence has reached the Most High, right? That's the Yahweh. And your pride, the mighty one. Who is the mighty one? Michael. Daniel chapter 12. And the Most High has looked at his times and beheld, and behold, they are ended, and his ages are completed. Therefore, you will truly disappear, you eagle, and your dreadful wings, and your wicked additional wings, and your malignant heads, and your cruel talents, and your whole worthless body, so that the whole earth may be freed of your violence, and be refreshed and relieved, and hope for the justice and mercy to him who made her. That's where we at. That's why they feel in a certain type of way. Okay?
Who is in charge, and his statements in that, he can say whatever the fuck he wants to the American people, because he knows that he gets to tell the United States what to do, and it makes me sick.
Yeah, and I do think there's going to be some friction here. I think that as oil rises and Trump's approval plummets, and a lot of people in his base, these country ground troops going in to Iran, I think this whole operation of Pete Hegseth, it is such, it's so unbelievably ridiculous that the Department of Defense is led by somebody with no ability to lead the Department of Defense. And I would just reiterate here, it is my firm opinion, Pete Hegseth calls zero shots in this. I do not think that the Secretary of Homeland, I don't think Kristi Noem called any shots. I believe that this government is run by a very tight inner circle of oligarchs and compromised people who are enriching themselves. The incompetent
Edomites. Exactly. You hit the devil on the nose. You got anything on that, AJ?
Shalom. That like you said, the Edomites. Excuse me. Same thing playing out. You've been talking about all the previous classes.
Right. Exactly. So yeah. So and like I said, the average person has no clue on this. They go to church on Sunday. They go to BTU on Wednesday. They don't know shit about none of this. And then, like I said, and then when you hear it, you thinking that, oh, this dude here, he's a nut bucket. Okay, well, we're gonna see who the nut bucket is when it's all said and done. Okay, and so with that being said, we're gonna pick a scripture like we normally do. We're gonna pick that scripture and then we're gonna break that scripture down and we'll break it down, talk about it, then we'll close out. You got a scripture you want to shine light on?
Right. Brother Leonard, I think it's Ezekiel 10, sir. That I wanted to. Okay, right. Yes, sir. So Ezekiel 10, verses 1 through 4, where it says, then I looked and behold, in a firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them as it were a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen, and he said, Go in between the wheels, even under the cherub, and fill thine hand with coals of fire from between the cherubims, and scatter them over the city. And he went in my sight. Now the cherubims stood on the right side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of the Lord went up from the cherub and stood over the threshold of the house. And the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of the Lord's glory. And the sound of the cherubim's wings was heard even to the outer court, as the voice of the Almighty God when he speaketh. And shalom, that was Ezekiel chapter 10, verses 1 through 5.
Okay, you got any feedback on
that? No, sir. I want. Could you break down what was going on here, what the scene is?
Right. Well, if you go back to Genesis Ezekiel chapter 1, you can see that the Creator God Yahweh is a contraption. In Ezekiel chapter 1, he tells you it's a cloud, and the cloud is covering this contraption that he's in, and he's on top of this sapphire stone, this platform, and these four angels that's under it is carrying him. Well, when you go to Ezekiel chapter 10, we can see the same contraption shows up at the temple in Jerusalem. And then he sent an angel out of that temple, out from under the platform, and he goes into the temple. And like I said before, when you understand all that, we can see Yahweh and the God that's over Israel, that's in Zion, is two different beings. So he comes to visit the God that's in Israel. Then he goes back and then he ascends back up to heaven. And like I said, when you go, you got these non-Messianics that's saying that Yah only, but when you go to Ezekiel chapter 1, it's plainly tells you it's four beings in the cloud with him. So how can he be by himself? It's virtually impossible. And so my point is this: if every time you see the cloud, when they came out of Egypt, it's a cloud. They follow him. So the cloud, Ezekiel in chapter 1, Ezekiel explained to you what's in the cloud. It's four beings in the cloud with him. He ain't by himself. And when you understand it, it's at the Tower of Babel. The same four beings that's in the cloud in Ezekiel chapter 1, four beings came down at the Tower of Babel. Same four beings. So ain't no different beings. So, like I said, our scripture's been mutilated. And in these last days, the Most High, like he promised us, he's going to shine a light on he's gonna uncover all of it. He's gonna uncover all the lies that's been told. And that's what's happening now. He's raised just like he did Daniel and Joseph. He got men that he's raising up that's writing about the scriptures because it's that time. And so, like I said, you can deal with it or you don't have to deal with it. You can let it roll out like water on a duck bag. It's all good. But he told us to search him out in the latter days, search the scriptures out and find him. So that means that if you got to find him in the latter days, then what was you dealing with before the latter days came? What, who and what you were dealing with? If you got to search the scriptures in the latter days to find him. I mean, all up until that point, you weren't dealing with him. He's hidden his face from you. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm going to say, you got anything else, AJ?
Brother Leonard, just to that point you just made, just real quick, you had gave me an analogy before about the shiny object in the vase.
Okay.
And they could you break that analogy down for me? How they because you just kind of alluded to it, you know, letting go of JC, you're not gonna be able to see who Michael is and the creator is.
Right. Well, you have to go back in history, back during the time of Shaka Zulu and the wars with the Zulu people, which they are Israelites, and with Great Britain, and they couldn't. Shaka Zulu had such a control over the certain part of Africa that they couldn't do nothing with it, so they had to come in and brainwash him, the same way they done with us with the New Testament. So what happened was after they came in, we got to watch the movie. But after they came in, they brought in all this different technology like mirrors and different stuff, cigarette lighters, and they hoodwinked Shaka Zulu. And so after he realized that when they came in and overtook him, he realized he had got set up. So he told the guy, the general, that the shining object, you got me with the shining object. And what he was talking about was the narrative about the monkey and the jar, you know, the hourglass, right? The hourglass got a small neck in the middle of it. So he put a shine, in order to trap the monkey, you got to put the shining object in the bottom of the hourglass, and he reaches his hand down through there, and he can get to the shining object. But once he grab it, he try to bring it back out. He can't because the glass is narrow at one point. And so he loved the shining object so much he won't let the shining object go to get his hand out. And so that's what Shaka Zulu was telling him. That's what you've done to me. That's what he done to him and his people. You done gave him a shining object, JC. And then now we in the last days, and the truth is coming out. They can't deal with the truth because they holding on to the shining object. They can't get their hand. They can't free themselves because they won't let go of that shining object. Ain't that something?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I said, it is that simple. And like I was saying before, over and over again, if you think that I'm feeling a certain type of way because you ain't not getting it, I ain't. If you ain't getting it, it's something wrong. Because this is prophesied. When you understand who our God is and that we connected to him in these last days. Let me read that right quick. Okay, I'm in Isaiah chapter 44. Okay, Isaiah 44, speaking to the Israelites. When you understand who the Israelites are. I'm in Isaiah 44. Let me get it. 44 in verse 1 through 5. Okay, this is promised to us. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, here we go. 44, 1 through 5. Yet hear, O Jacob, that's us, the African American. the ones that was brought over here on the slave, doing the transatlantic slave trade. Yet hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord, that it made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and Jezreel, whom I have chosen, for I will pour water upon him that is thirsty. That's the ones that thirsty. That's Israelites, right? And floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed. Not everybody, seed. And my blessings upon thine offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourse. One shall say, I am the Lord's. And another shall say, shall call himself by the name of Jacob. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname his name, or surname himself by the name of Israel. So our God already prophesied this. So if you're a part of what he prophesied, then you'll get this. If you don't get it, then lo and behold, if you're thinking I'm feeling a certain type of way about it, you got it backwards. Okay. And another thing I want to shine a light on is from this day forward, you need to understand that I constantly telling everybody on this line that this is a non-Messianic conversation, and that we deal with the Tanak and the Torah. It's the New Testament is excluded, so it's not a Christian channel. You're not dealing with Christians. So, like I said before, if you feeling a certain type of way, go get your donut and a glass of milk, because this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the prophets, our forefathers, and Torah, the law, the book of the law. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. We have our non-Messianic conversations. We have our Sabbath classes in the morning. We got 2 Shabbat classes on Saturdays. One in the morning from 10 to 12 p.m. Central Time. And then we close the Shabbat out in the evening at 6 o'clock. So if you feel the need or you got stirred up by these conversations, then you can we'll be here every Saturday. We got 2 Shabbat classes. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I'll see everybody in the morning.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who the God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.